Welcome to the Tatter-a-fact podcast, where PMU gets real, raw, and unapologetic. I am Teryn Darling with Girls Inc., your no bullshit mentor with 25 years in the game. So let's raise the bar together and let's keep it there. So today is part one of a three-part series called the Learning Curve series. You know, every time you switch to a new machine, a new pigment line, a new needle configuration, or any tool, it feels like you're starting all over again, right? That needle hits the skin different, and you got to change your hand pressure and lots of different things when you go either up or down in configuration, and that configuration is new to you. The machine feels super uncomfortable in your hand. You just don't feel comfortable with it or like you have control of it. And the pigments are not implanting great for you. And your retention that was good with the organic line you were using now suck. Your retention sucks with the new inorganic line you are using, and vice versa. And that's normal. That's not failure, you guys. That's the learning curve. That time in the learning curve is where growth happens, where real growth happens for great artists. But too many people expect new machines, a pigment line that's new to them, especially if you're going from a completely different pigment type, from an organic to an inorganic, or vice versa, an inorganic to an organic, and all the different tools we may switch to. Some people expect them to work perfectly for them right away. And if they don't, they get upset, they get frustrated. Some will point the finger and place blame on the new machine, the new pigment line, the new product, and they give up and they walk away without giving that new machine, pigment line, needle configuration, or tool a real chance. Patience isn't optional, you guys. It's not in this industry. You must be patient, as patience is the ticket to mastery and greatness. If you want to be a great artist, a master artist, you must have patience. You must have patience and resilience. Great results don't come overnight or quickly in many cases. They come when you give yourself the time and space to learn, adapt, adjust, and conquer. And if you do that, you will conquer, or a high percentage of you will conquer that new machine, pigment, tool, or task at hand. I promise you. So today, part one, we're talking about something every artist will face. Whether you like it or not, you will face it. The learning curve of a new machine. The uncomfortable truth when you're using a new machine is you're going to suck for a minute or two or three. But what separates pro artists from the rest is how you handle that period when you are sucking while you learn through the curve. Because we're all going to suck while we're learning through the curve. it doesn't matter how long you've been tattooing or how skilled you are. The moment you pick up a new machine, a different machine, your hand doesn't feel the same. That machine feels foreign in your hand. The vibration is different, and that can be throwing you all off your game. The results don't look the same. Your results may not look the same with that new machine in the beginning. Everything is just off. And some artists are going to question whether it's the machine or is it them. And their confidence can take a big hit. All normal. All normal. I promise you. For all artists. I went through it. And I went through it really bad when I made my big switch. I had two big switches in my career. When I first started out in PMU, I got put on a cheap little pen that came in my kit, you know, and it was super lightweight. It was of poor quality. It was super quiet, no vibration. And, you know, I didn't know what I didn't know. And I used that machine for quite a while. And one procedure, the needle actually came flying right off the machine during a procedure. That actually happened. I won't say the brand name of the machine. I think this machine is still out there. Or this brand is still out there. I'm not sure. But yeah, the needle came flying right off the machine. Thank God I wasn't doing an eyeliner. But I didn't have to be doing an eyeliner for that to be really bad and embarrassing. And, you know, you have to go pick your machine up, your needle up off the floor, across the room, and, you know, come up with some, you know, fib, you know, to tell the client, because you don't want to tell the client your needle just came flying off the machine. So anyway, that was bad. So I knew I had to learn a new machine, and I was already in body tattooing. So I decided to start using my coil machine that I was using to produce all these amazing body tattoos. And during that time, that was not the right thing to do according to PMU standards. Right? PMU and body tattooing was very separate, very segregated. And in PMU, you did not use anything that came from the tattoo industry. Nothing. So I was a little rebel back then. I broke all the rules. And I started using a coil machine for all my permanent makeup work. And I knew better once I had been doing body tattooing for quite a while, and I'm doing body tattoos on, you know, older, mature, thin, fragile skin with a coil machine. I learned how to set my coil, you know, to where it hit really, really soft, and I could set it, you know, I had a coil machine with a longer stroke, a shorter stroke. I could set it to hit softer for that type of fragile skin. I could set it to hit a little bit harder for thicker skin or, you know, scar tissue. I learned that coil machine in and out like it was an extension of my hand. And my body tattoo mentor really encouraged me. And it is really the reason I started using the coil machine in my permanent makeup work. So, but that was a big switch for me, and it was a mental switch that I had to make as well, not just a physical switch from, you know, a cheap, lightweight, quiet PMU pen to a heavier, louder coil machine, you know, that had more vibration. And I'm using it on the face, not the body. That was a big switch for me. And it took me quite a few procedures of each area. Like, it took me a few brows, it took me a few eyeliners, a few lips, to get really comfortable and get my work back to where I was happy again and really comfortable, because your work does suffer a little bit. So that was my big switch number one. And I used that coil machine on everything I did for about 12 years. And the weight of it, the vibration of it, it ended up really hurting my hand. So to make a long story short, I had to switch to a pen, a rotary pen. And I switched to, this is when I started using Bishop machines. And I started out with the Bishop V6. And that was a big machine. I mean, that was a big switch. That was a big, huge switch. I also started using a machine by a Tat Soul, the Valor. Couldn't get that name at first. So I bought the Valor and I bought the Bishop V6, and I started using both of those, slowly converting over to those, and learning both of those at the same time. And another big switch, because I'm going from, a claw machine to two rotary machines, and the feel was really different. And I felt my work, my healed and retention, suffered again, and I'm back in that learning curve, and I'm uncomfortable and I'm frustrated, but I stuck with it. So, I tell you this story so all artists go through this when you're going to a new machine. So if you're going to a new machine, you're gonna go through this. But look, every machine has its own behavior, its own personality, if you will. It has its own unique power delivery, stroke length. It has its own speed. It has its own different unique motor that provides the speed. That is responsible for the vibration level and the needle compatibility. If you don't take the time to understand and adapt to those nuances, you'll either underperform for a short period of time, because underperforming is normal when you switch to a new machine. And then you'll start performing at the level you're used to with your old machine you just left behind. Or you'll underperform, get frustrated, give up, and go right back to the old machine because that's comfortable. And you'll do that even if that old machine is no longer serving you, because it's comfortable. So there's going to be a period where you feel you're underperforming with your procedures. And that's a part of the learning curve. So let's break down what really happens when you make the switch to a brand new machine. What changes? What feels foreign? What challenges you'll face? And most importantly, what you need to learn and get comfortable with in order to master it, to master that new machine. And you can master it. You can. Because it's not about just learning how to use a new machine. This is a huge part of artist growth and the artist's ability, your ability to overcome challenges, right? And we will be doing this for our entire career. You will have to face and overcome challenges your entire career if you want to stay a PMU artist. You want to keep growing, keep getting better. And your machine's not going to last you forever. You're going to eventually have to get into a new machine. The machine swap, why your new toy feels like buyer's remorse. And haven't some of you felt like that? I know some of you have felt like that because I have the Girls Inc. store and we sell machines. So I directly deal and talk with artists through this learning curve when they've bought a machine from the Girls Inc. store. And for some artists, the learning curve is not so bad. It's not as frustrating. And getting to the other side is a little bit quicker. Whereas for some, frustration levels are higher. The learning curve is harder. It's longer, and everything in between. So first, before we go any further, this conversation, we're going to assume you bought a high quality, badass machine from a reputable manufacturer, which means you spent some money on that machine. This discussion does not include, cheap machines. We're not talking about cheap, low quality machines, non-brand machines that maybe you got off Amazon or Alibaba, or the kind of machine that is typically included in your 2 or 3 day training kit. Okay? So, first, number one, your old machine kept you in the comfort zone. You probably didn't even realize how comfy your machine was to you, how comfy it was, and how much your comfort with that machine was guiding your results. Because you knew exactly how to hold it, how to angle it, how to move it, how much hand pressure to apply. And it felt like an extension of your hand. The second you pick up a new machine, even if it's a better machine, you lose that automatic confidence and know-how. You lose that comfort. That comfort is gone. And that's where some artists backslide. Instead of pushing through the discomfort, they get frustrated, toss the machine aside and say, it didn't work for me. Some actually think the machine doesn't work. The machine just doesn't work, period. There's something wrong with the machine. And some even feel they should get a refund. This is true because we've had to work with people like that. And, trying to explain to someone, look, it's not the machine. Of course the machine works and the machine implants pigment. Of course it does. This is, a Bishop or a Zion, or this is a high quality machine. Because on the Girls Inc. store, we only carry reputable, high quality machines made with great motors that lots of artists are using and loving. I use them, and of course they implant. Of course they work. But there's some artists that they just give up real quickly and they just declare the machine is broke, the machine doesn't work, it doesn't implant pigment, and they want a refund. And of course, Girls Inc., we can't give refunds just because you think the machine doesn't work. That's the learning curve making you feel that way. We can't give a refund because we have to follow the manufacturer rules, whether it's Microbow, whether it's Tatsol, whether it's Bishop, whoever the manufacturer may be, they have rules and guidelines that all their distributors have to follow. We can't give refunds as a distributor. I'm just a distributor of the machine. The manufacturer can give refunds, and the manufacturer makes it very clear they do not give refunds just because you don't like the machine or you feel the machine doesn't work. Now, if the machine legitimately is malfunctioning, then these manufacturers that I mentioned, and all good manufacturers, are going to allow you to return the machine. And they're either going to fix it or replace it. But they're not going to give you a refund. They just don't refund for machines. That's just the way it is. So moving on. There are some artists that feel that way. Machines broke, don't work, don't implant. But maybe they just didn't work with it long enough to get through that learning curve, which may be more difficult for them than for other artists, right? And I'm sure some of you listening right now can relate. Two, learning a new machine brings new challenges. What are those new challenges? Well, unfamiliar vibration and weight, right? Every machine has a unique and different vibration level and feel. That vibration level gives us a certain feel in our hand, and that vibration is provided by the motor. And that different vibration with your new machine throws off your muscle memory and your feel. It can lead to shaky hair strokes, or your hair strokes are just not as clean. It can lead to uneven pressure and patchy color until you adjust to that new vibration level. Some of you may be coming from a very low vibration machine. That machine has very low vibration, so you're hardly feeling anything. Moving into a machine with a little more vibration or moderate vibration. And that change in vibration can really mess with you, how things feel. And you have to adjust. You have to adjust to that new vibration level. Different power and stroke. The new machine you're moving into may have different power and a different stroke setting. A stronger machine, if you're not used to it, can overwork the skin. And if you don't adjust for that, you can really overwork the skin. And I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm just saying that to make you aware. So if you're coming from a softer, weaker machine, moving into a stronger machine, you need to be aware of that, and you need to adjust your settings, adjust your speed. Maybe go a little bit slower. You may have to adjust your hand speed and other things to compensate that you now have a stronger machine in your hand. And a lot of the machines coming out now are stronger machines, right? They're like all-in-one machines, so we can adjust them to run and hit softer for fragile skin, yet we can bump up the speed and use them, for scar tissue, tougher, thicker skin. The machines are getting stronger, they're getting more powerful, they're getting better. And that's nothing to be afraid of. It's just something that you have to adapt to and make adjustments for. If you're moving from a stronger machine to a softer machine may not implant well at first, and adjustments are going to have to be made. You may have to apply a little more hand pressure. You may have to bump up your speed. You're just going to have to make changes to accommodate going from a stronger machine to a softer machine. The stroke length can definitely change pigment delivery, and it can increase skin trauma if you don't understand stroke settings and adjust for the new stroke setting. If you're moving into a machine with a different stroke setting, adjustments need to be made. It's really important to understand stroke settings. And a stroke setting, let's say a 2.5 stroke setting on one machine versus a 2.5 stroke setting on another machine, a different brand machine, may slightly vary. That could slightly vary. It may not be exact 2.5 millimeter stroke setting on each machine. There could be some variance, right? I mean, 100%. Because just like needles with taper length, like a long taper on one brand needle might measure a certain length, and then a long taper on a different brand needle might be a little bit longer or a little bit shorter. And that can apply to stroke settings. So we have to keep that in mind. Lack of feel. Your touch and feedback through the skin feels either too little or too much with a different machine. It doesn't feel the same at all. And that's just the way it is when you move into a new machine. And that can make it hard to tell when you're a little too shallow in the skin or a little too deep in the skin at first with that new machine. That will come in time though. So you have to stick with it. The perfect depth, your perfect depth, hitting that sweet spot when it comes to depth, when you switch to a new machine, will come in time. And it's better off to be a little too shallow than too deep, right? But that could mean less retention than what you're used to with your old machine. But for myself, I'd rather lose retention. I'd rather not have as good of retention than go too deep and cause excess trauma to the skin. You're used to autopilot mode with that old machine of yours, especially if you've been using it for a very long time, right? It's just so comfortable in your hand. You know it inside and out, frontwards and backwards. So you can just use it on autopilot. Everything, you know, you don't even have to think when using it. And then when you get a brand new machine in your hand, now all of a sudden it feels like a good analogy is it feels like you're learning to write with your non-dominant hand, right? If you're right-handed, it feels like you're learning to write with your left hand. Like you have to write a beautifully, aesthetically beautiful letter with your left hand. Well, good luck doing that right away, right? The letters are going to be they're going to look terrible, maybe not even legible, right? I know that for me, for sure. I cannot write with my left hand. And if I was to write beautiful with my left hand, that is going to take lots of time and lots of practice, right? With my right hand, we're just on autopilot. I'm on autopilot. I've been writing with my right hand for years, and I've perfected it. It's the same thing with our machine, you guys. Speed and voltage sensitivity. Let's talk about that. Every machine runs differently at the same voltage number. Let me repeat that. Every machine runs differently even when set at the same voltage number. Okay? 7 volts on one machine is not going to run the same at 7 volts on another machine. And you must remember that and adjust. Running at 7 volts on your old machine may have made that machine run faster or slower than running at the same 7 volts with your brand new machine. And that's really, really important, right? Because all the time, like on the Facebook groups, I'll see an artist say, oh, I just bought, the Bishop pen. What speed do you run at? For eyebrows. Or they have an artist that they admire and they admire their eyeliners. And so they ask them, what speed do you run at? Well, the artist can say, well, I run at 6.8, and you could set your machine, which is a different machine than that artist uses at 6.8, and it's going to be a completely different speed. Okay? So, because each machine, they're engineered and calibrated different. So running at 7 volts on your old machine is not going to run at the same speed on the new machine. The new machine could run a little bit faster, a little bit slower. Very important to remember and be aware of when you get that new machine in your hand. You may have to adjust the speed. You may have to go down a little bit or up a little bit on your new machine to match the speed or get comparable at which you ran the old machine. Okay? So needle compatibility and behavior. Different machines affect needles differently, even universal needles differently, right? Some machines affect the needle hang. Some machines will hang that needle out a little bit longer, while some machines, you can't get the needle to hang out that long. Some machines, you can retract the needle to be shorter, and on other machines, you can't retract the needle to be as short. So different machines will affect the needle hang differently. So if you're used to hanging your needle out at a certain length, and now you have to adjust that hang for the new machine, that can cause discomfort. That can cause possibly even the needle to snag. It can mess with your precision because maybe you're not seeing the needle as clearly at first with this new machine as you did with your old machine. Okay? Different machines affect how the needle bounces and gives off the skin. Different machines affect a lot of different things about that needle. So we have to adjust for that. We have to adjust for that. So the skin response may change, right? You could be using the same technique but with a different machine. And that can equal a different skin reaction, like bleeding. Maybe you're seeing a little more bleeding. Trauma. Maybe you're seeing a little more trauma. Pigment implantation, saturation levels, and ultimately retention. All that can be different when you get your hands on a new machine. All that can be different. A new machine can affect everything, all those different nuances. So it may require you, the artist, to adjust your passes. How many passes you're doing. It may require you to adjust your speed. You may have to go up in speed. You may have to go down in speed. It may require you to adjust your hand pressure and your stretch. We're just going to have to make adjustments. We may not have to make all those adjustments, but you may have to make some of them. And the adjustments you make may not be big adjustments. Maybe they're small adjustments. It just depends on the machine you're coming from and the machine you're moving into. It just depends. And that's going to vary depending on the machine you're leaving and the machine you're moving into. So what PMU artists must learn and master with a new machine? You have to relearn hand speed. You have to relearn hand speed to match the stroke setting of that new machine, the power of that new machine. Some machines may require you to slow down or speed up for optimal pigment retention. Okay? You may not be able to run at the same speed you were running at with your old machine. You're going to have to adjust depth perception and get comfortable recalibrating how much hand pressure you need to apply with your new machine to control how deep your needle is going. Because your hand pressure may have to change with the new machine. And I would encourage you all to not make big changes, especially with hand pressure going into a new machine, because you don't want to go too deep, you know? So you can try using the same amount of hand pressure and see how that works. You'll know once you start seeing your healed-in results. If the healed-in results are not as good as you're used to, then you know you need to apply a little bit more hand pressure with this new machine. But you're going to have to get comfortable recalibrating your hand pressure. So you have absolute control on how deep that needle is going and how deep you're implanting that pigment. You're going to have to study the voltage sweet spot, like we just talked about, and find the optimal voltage range for each procedure. For the brows, the type of brows you do, for the lips, the type of lips you do, and the liner, eyeliners, and areolas, right? And the voltage changes, or it does for me at least, between all the different procedures. So your voltage may change with a new machine, and you're going to have to find that optimal voltage range for each procedure. And that's also going to vary for each artist, because we all work differently. We all hold our machine differently. We all stretch differently. We all use different movements, different needles. So that optimal voltage range for each procedure is going to vary from artist to artist because of all those different variables I just mentioned, all those unique variables I just mentioned that applies to all of us unique artists, because we artists are very unique in our own way. And that's why it's not really a good idea to ask another artist, what is your voltage or what speed you run at, and then go set your machine at that exact speed and then expect the same exact results as that other artist is getting. You can certainly ask, do ask actually, because it's interesting. I'm not saying don't ask, but when you do ask and then you get into your procedure room, just be aware that the same exact speed that particular artist uses may not work as well for you. And just be aware of that and ready to adjust. Go up a little or down a little. Because you work differently than that artist. And that might be that particular artist's optimal speed for the way they work, but it might not be your exact optimal speed. And that's just important to know. And these are just a lot of little things that brand new artists don't know. And not even brand new, like artists that are, been in the industry a year or two and have stayed pretty close to home to what their trainer has taught them. These are things that some artists are learning and discovering 1 year, 2 year, even 3 years into the industry. And it's exciting to be learning these things. Very exciting. I know it's a little scary, but it's exciting because that means you're growing and you're branching out and you're becoming your own unique artist, which is so fucking cool. And that's exactly what you want for yourself. You're going to have to play and document your results. You're just going to have to. I did. You're going to have to experiment with needles, try various configurations, and you may even have to try a different brand to see what pairs best with that machine. You may not want to assume your go-to needles will feel and perform exactly the same with the new machine, even when we're talking universal needles. Because again, different machines affect the needle differently. The hang of the needle, which we discussed, may be different with a new machine, and how that needle bounces off the skin may feel super different with that new machine. Tracking healing results. I'm going to repeat that. That's really important because that's going to visually show you where you are with this new machine. And if your healed results are not up to par as they were with your old machine, then there's changes, there's adjustments that you need to make. Compare your old machine with how the pigment is implanting, settling into the skin. Trauma to the skin. Is the trauma more, less, or the same compared to your old machine? And your overall healed results. Compare all that with the old machine versus what you're experiencing and getting with your new machine. It's very, very important to be aware of all that, compare all that, look at all that, track all that, document all that. Because that's what's going to help you know that you need to make adjustments somewhere, either with your pressure, your speed, your needle, somewhere, your passes, somewhere in your formula, you need to make an adjustment. If the pigment is not implanting and settling in the skin as well as your old machine, if there is more trauma, and if your overall healed and retention is not as well. As you were getting with your old machine, you're going to have to make adjustments because it's not the machine. It's just something that you just haven't adapted for with the new machine. You must develop new muscle memory, and this takes time. This takes reps, repetition, over and over and over and over, and then more reps. It's muscle memory. You have to develop new muscle memory, and that just takes time. So practice on practice skins or pads, anything. And for as long as it takes to get familiar, fast, so you're comfortable when you take it to a real procedure. Stay patient through the learning curve. I can't stress that enough. Stay patient through this learning curve. Confidence comes in time. It comes with practice, repetition, developing muscle memory, and all that takes time. And once you develop all that, the confidence is there. Greatness with anything takes time. Learn the new machine's personality. Learn its behavior and all its little nuances before you blame yourself. Because I know some artists blame themselves. Before you blame the machine. And before you give up. Listen to the machine. Listen to the machine. Each machine, and this new machine included, will sound differently than your older machine. And it will behave uniquely different than your older machine. Each machine sounds and behaves uniquely different. So be patient and take time to learn its rhythm, its noise, the sound it makes, the vibration in your hand, and its response through sound and feel. Trust in the process and trust yourself. Trust yourself and your skill level. That's very, very important. And it's important to remember that the awkwardness is temporary. The frustration and awkwardness is temporary. Being uncomfortable means you're in the learning curve. You're learning and you're leveling up. You're growing. You're becoming a better artist. You don't build new skill sets and become a better artist by staying in this comfort zone, by staying safe. Right? Some artists jump from machine to machine, looking for the cheat code. Others stay with one machine forever or for a very long time, longer than they should because they're terrified of leaving that machine, leaving the comfort zone, even when they know they should. And I meet and talk to a lot of artists who say just that in my classrooms, on the phone, in my DMs. They know they should leave that old machine, but they're scared to death, right? They're scared to death of leaving the comfort of that old machine and the comfort zone, even though they know they should. Both examples I just gave are not the best way to become your best. You build real depth, real control, real skill by pushing through those few weeks of awkward procedures, of work that is maybe not up to par, that uncomfortableness, and that period where you're doubting yourself. It's in those moments when we all grow the most, including myself. My most painful, awkward, uncomfortable, scariest moments throughout my 25-year career has created the most growth. The most growth. And in many cases, pushed me in the direction of creating a new product or a new technique or a new class. It pushed me in the direction of better healed-in results, quicker and more efficient procedure time. Right? Not when I'm comfortable. I wish it was when we were comfortable that the growth happened. And all those great things I just mentioned that I accomplished happened. But it's not when it happens. It happens when we're in the scary moments, the awkward moments, the frustrating moments, and we're able to push through those moments. And those moments may be weeks long, maybe a couple of months for some people. But don't give up. Don't give up on yourself. Okay, that felt good. A new machine is, you guys, it's not going to adapt to you. A new machine is not going to adapt to you. You need to adapt to it. You need to give it time enough to learn all the new aspects and nuances of this new machine. You need to understand how it delivers power. Run it at different voltages. Practice on fake skin or practice pads. Get comfortable with its precision, its sound, its vibration, and how it feels in your hand. Put in the time, and what you will get out of that machine is exactly what you want to get. A machine that works with you, helping you to produce your best work. I promise you. Be patient, don't get frustrated, and don't give up. Great things take time, and learning a new machine is a great thing. It's a great thing, and you're going to have to do it countless times if you want to be here 25 years. If you want to be in this industry 25 years like I've been, you're going to have to get on a new machine countless times because machines only last so long. And machines are getting better and better and better. So learning a new machine is a great thing. And it takes time. But it only takes a few seconds to get frustrated, give up, maybe even blame the machine. Lay it down and walk away. And that accomplishes nothing for you. That doesn't push you towards greatness. Learning a new machine can accomplish all kinds of great things for you. It can help you accomplish your greatest work, and it can open up amazing new opportunities for you. So it's worth it. It's worth the frustration, the struggle, the awkwardness, and how annoyed you're going to get, and maybe even pissed off. You know, it's worth it. It's worth it. Because then you accomplish something really, really great. You got a great new machine that does most of the work. And you're moving forward. You're moving forward. You're evolving. And that's important. It's important that we evolve as artists. We can't stay stuck where we're at. We can't. If you don't evolve, you're not moving forward, right? It's better to move forward and go through all that, shit that I just explained than to stay stuck in the same spot and not move forward at all. Believe me. So I hope this conversation and everything I talked about with you today maybe allows you or encourages you to be more patient than you normally would be while you're going through the learning curve. And maybe some of you listening right now have gone through all of this with a machine you spent $600, $700, $800 on. And when you go into your studio tomorrow, you're going to pick up that machine again. Because you did get frustrated, you did get annoyed, you did get pissed off, and you gave up. And that new machine you spent all that money on, you put it back in the drawer, and that's where it's been sitting for the last few months. So if this conversation got you to go pick up that new machine, re-listen to this podcast for inspiration and motivation, right? And maybe some discipline. Listening to me telling you, hey, get back on that damn machine and you be patient. And don't you dare give up on yourself. Don't give up on the machine. Because you know what? That Bishop PMU pen is a kick-ass machine. Thousands of artists are doing amazing work with it. That Zion is a really great machine. Thousands of artists all over the world are doing great work with it and getting great healed results with it. The OMG Bishop new wireless pen I just launched with Bishop is a great friggin' machine. And not thousands yet, but hundreds of artists are getting great yield and retention. The Valkyr, the Valhalla. There's lots of machines. The list goes on and on and on. Lots of great machines where the manufacturer really cared. And there's a kick-ass motor, like a Japanese motor, a Swiss motor, a German motor. Like there's a great motor in there. And they engineered it with perfection using great high-quality parts. It's a perfectly engineered machine. It's a kick-ass machine. Yet you got frustrated with it. It wasn't implanting good for you. Your attention was affected. And you put it in the drawer and walked away from it. You know, and I hate that for you. So this is why I did this episode today on machines, to inspire and motivate you. And also to let you know all the things you're struggling with through the learning curve while you're learning a new machine or anything new is not failure. It's not failure. It's not that you're not good enough to learn it, or it's not, a great product, or it's too advanced for you, or anything like that. It's the learning curve. Simply, it's the learning curve. So we're going to end part 1, the learning curve on machines, here. And we've got 2 more parts to this series. We're going to do needles and we're going to do pigments. That's right. We're going to dive into pigments. So I'm excited for the next couple of episodes on the learning curve. So you guys, thanks for hanging out with me today. If you're not here, I'm not here. So I appreciate every single one of you more than you could know. More than you can know. Because I like being here. And I like talking to you. And I like teaching you what I've learned over the years. I like encouraging you. I love mentoring you. I love inspiring you and motivating you. And I like feeling I have purpose in this industry. Besides, running a store and other things I do. I like that I like feeling like I have a higher purpose, a deeper purpose. And that's sitting here with you guys, talking to you on all these different topics and providing this education and a place for you to come to, where there's no bullshit, and I'm not trying to tell you what you want to hear. I'm telling you the truth. So, with that said, that's the truth, that's the tea, and that's the Tatter-a-fact. Until next time, I want every single one of you to stay in the pursuit of excellence and happiness.